Where did we come from? For hundreds of thousands of years, humanity has grappled with this simple, fundamental question, from ancient people gazing up at the starry night sky to the scientists of today. The same wonder has echoed in our hearts. The journey to uncover the origins of humankind. In truth, a journey to discover ourselves. The story we are about to begin is a grand voyage that transcends time and space. Perhaps you found yourself asking questions like these. Where exactly did the ancestors of humanity first emerge? Who were the very first humans? And why is it that only we, Homo sapiens, were able to build civilizations? To answer these questions, today's video will take you on a journey from humanity's distant past into its future. We will unravel a story filled with intellectually stimulating discoveries from the first footsteps that echoed across the land 7 million years ago, to the memories etched into our DNA. The concepts of humanity, painted by philosophy and mythology, and even a glimpse into the future of the human race. By the time you finish watching, we are confident your perspective on the world will have changed. Now, let's embark on this magnificent quest to explore the origins of humanity. The first footsteps that echoed in Africa. The first footsteps about 7 million years ago. A creature called Sahelanthropus, Chadensis, walked on the scorching African continent. Its skull fossil, discovered in 2001 in Central Africa's Chad, is believed to be a type of hominin, close to the last common ancestor of humans and chimpanzees. Sahelanthropus was a primitive creature, close to a chimpanzee in appearance and brain size. But surprisingly, there is evidence that it had risen up on 2 legs and walked bipedally, from footprints left in the ground that have fossilized, and features remaining in the fossils of the femur, or thigh bone. Researchers have concluded that it was bipedal. So why did they come down from the trees and start walking the ground on 2 legs? It is said that there was a major change in the global environment behind this. Around 7 million years ago, the forests in Africa were shrinking, and in their place, savannas, or great grasslands, were beginning to spread. Our ancestors, who had moved through the trees on all 4s, were forced into new strategies to survive in the vast grasslands. Bipedalism was likely an adaptation to such an environment. If you walk upright, you can see far across the grasslands. You could be the first to spot carnivorous predators, or the plants and small animals that were your food. In fact, being able to see farther and detect danger more quickly by walking upright on 2 legs was a major advantage for survival. Also, with both hands free, there was room to carry things and use tools. There is also a theory that an upright posture reduces the area of the body exposed to the sun's rays, making it easier to suppress a rise in body temperature even in the hot sun. For these various reasons, the revolution of standing and walking was etched into human evolution. But in the age of Sahelanthropus, could they have been called human yet? Here, the fundamental question of what is the definition of a human being comes to mind. Are small-brained hominins to be considered human if they walk bipedally? Or can they not be called human until they can master fire and tools? It is not easy to give a clear answer to this question. It is also an interesting philosophical theme. But in general, the human family, or hominids, refers to modern humans, Homo sapiens, and their direct ancestors and close relatives. Sahelanthropus is a hominid in terms of classification, but it is not yet in the genus Homo. the group that includes Homo sapiens. Nevertheless, there is no doubt that those footsteps carved into the earth 7 million years ago were the prologue to the long story of humankind that was to follow evolving humans.
Evolving humankind, the birth of the Homo genus.
Having acquired the groundbreaking adaptation of walking, our ancestors continued on a long evolutionary journey. Time passed, and about 4 million years ago, Australopithecus lived in Africa. By this time, these hominins were fully adapted to walking upright, with long legs and a pelvic structure suited for bipedal locomotion. The famous Australopithecus afarensis, Lucy, lived in Ethiopia about 3.2 million years ago. Her skeleton confirms that she walked firmly on the ground. Lucy's height was only about 3 feet, and her brain capacity was about 1/3 that of modern humans. But with her small brain and body, she adapted tenaciously to her environment. Australopithecines had long arms that also allowed them to climb trees, living in both forests and grasslands. We also know that their teeth were smaller than those of chimpanzees, allowing them to eat a diverse range of foods. This meant their diet was expanding to include things like cracking hard nuts and tearing meat. As evidence of this, simple tools made of stone have been found near the fossils of hominins like Lucy. There are traces of them using sharp stone tools to remove meat from animal bones and to crush the bones to get to the marrow inside. Bone marrow was a rich and high-calorie food source, full of fat and nutrients. Researchers speculate that the ability to access marrow, thanks to tools, provided the extra calories that became the energy source for the evolution of a larger brain. The simple invention of stone tools may have been the driving force that allowed the human brain to grow significantly. Eventually, 2.5 million years ago, the first members of the Homo genus, who had evolved from Australopithecus, appeared. This was Homo habilis, or Habilis, true to its name, which means handy man, is known for using even more advanced stone tools of the time. Called Oldowan tools, their brain capacity also expanded to an average of about 600 cubic centimeters, larger than Australopithecus, often introduced as the first humans. This species is positioned on the borderline between Australopithecus and humans. It is believed that Homo habilis shattered stones to create sharp edges, which they used to cut animal bones and grind plants. The handiwork shows traces of ingenuity, almost like a modern child tinkering with a toy. As time moved forward, about 1.8 million years ago, Homo erectus, or upright man, emerged. Around this time, our ancestors finally began to venture out of Africa and spread to various parts of the world. Using their long legs and advanced walking abilities, Homo erectus dispersed across the Eurasian continent. Their footprints have been found from Dmanisi in the country of Georgia, in the Caucasus region, to China and the island of Java in Indonesia. The brain of Homo erectus grew even larger, averaging 900 cubic centimeters, with some individuals reaching nearly 1,000 cubic centimeters. They created more sophisticated stone tools, such as easy-to-grip hand axes, and acquired advanced survival skills that had never been seen before. Furthermore, archaeological evidence strongly suggests that Homo erectus was able to control fire. For example, in sites in Kenya and South Africa, charred materials, believed to be the remains of campfires dating back from 1 million to 800,000 years ago, have been discovered, the use of fire was a revolutionary event in human history. Fire provided light in the darkness, offered warmth against the cold, and made it possible to cook meat, making it safer to eat. The fact that Homo erectus possessed both fire and stone tools is also evidence that they cooperated with each other and shared knowledge. Maintaining a fire and making tools required not just individual ingenuity, but also the transmission of wisdom within a group. A culture of learning, passed down from parent to child and from one companion to another, had begun to blossom. At the end of this chapter, let's also touch upon a comparison with other animals. In terms of tool use, humans are not entirely unique. For instance, chimpanzees modify branches to fish for termites, and crows use stones as tools, dropping them to crack open hard nuts. However, there was a crucial difference in human tool use. That difference was the ability to create, improve, and pass down this knowledge. A chimpanzee uses a natural stick as it is, but humans chip stones to create cutting tools. Other animals fundamentally use tools based on instinct and imitation. But humans improved their tools through trial and error and passed on those techniques to the next generation through language and demonstration. This can be seen as the first glimpse of later civilizational development. The difference between us and other animals lay precisely in that kind of cultural accumulation and imagination. An era when multiple human species coexisted, a time of coexistence. We, Homo sapiens, may be the only human species on Earth today. But just tens of thousands of years ago, multiple human species existed on the planet at the same time. It sounds like something out of a fantasy world, but this is an undeniable scientific fact. During the Pleistocene epoch, from about 2.58 million years ago to about 11,700 years ago, various relatives of humankind lived alongside Homo sapiens. First, let's introduce the Neanderthals, who were spread across Europe and Western Asia. Neanderthals emerged about 400,000 years ago and thrived. Having adapted to the cold climate of Europe, they had a robust physique with thick bones and developed muscles, and their brain capacity was, en average, equal to or even greater than that of modern humans. At around 1500 CC, it is believed that Neanderthals developed a sophisticated stone tool culture known as the Mousterian culture, and hunted large animals. They lived in caves, wore heavy clothing, and there is even evidence that they created primitive forms of art. Furthermore, it is highly likely they buried their dead. At the Shanidar cave in Iraq, Neanderthal remains were found with pollen, leading to the speculation that this was a burial ritual where flowers were offered to the deceased. Despite possessing intelligence and cultural aspects very similar to our own, the Neanderthals vanished about 40,000 years ago. However, the Neanderthals did not disappear from history completely. The latest DNA research has revealed that sequences derived from Neanderthals remain within the genes of modern humans. It has been found that the genomes of modern people of European and Asian descent contain, on average, about 2% Neanderthal DNA. This means that after our ancestors left Africa, they interbred with Neanderthals. In fact, analysis of DNA from Homo sapiens fossils found in the Middle East and Europe, dating back about 40,000 years, shows evidence that interbreeding with Neanderthals occurred in a relatively recent generation. The blood of the Neanderthals still lives on inside our bodies. Isn't this fact astonishing? Incidentally, the fact that Neanderthal DNA remains in modern humans was first brought to light in the 2010s by Dr. Svante Pääbo and his colleagues. For this achievement, Dr. Pääbo was awarded the Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine in 2022. It's a classic example of science solving a mystery that feels like a myth. Next, let's talk about the mysterious Denisovans, whose existence only became clear in the 2000s. The Denisovans came to be known from the DNA analysis of a finger bone discovered in 2008 in the Denisova cave in Siberia. Although only a few bone fragments and teeth have been found, their genome revealed that they were a new species of human, different from both Neanderthals and modern humans. It is presumed that the Denisovans were distributed from Central Asia to Southeast Asia, while direct skeletal remains are scarce. Evidence that they too interbred with us. Homo sapiens is etched into our genes. It has been reported that modern Melanesians, such as the people of Papua New Guinea and Australian Aboriginals, have inherited a high proportion of Denisovan DNA, making up about 5% of their genome. This implies that when Homo sapiens spread into the Southeast Asian region, they met and had children with the Denisovans, and in some cases, this interbreeding has given modern humans surprising adaptive abilities. For example, people living on the Tibetan Plateau possess a special genetic mutation adapted to the low oxygen, high-altitude environment. Amazingly, it has been discovered that this gene was inherited from the Denisovans. Thanks to this gene, the people of Tibet can live in the thin air at elevations of over 4,000 meters without their blood becoming excessively thick. The idea that a gene inherited from an extinct human species is helping us modern humans adapt is a story filled with wonder, isn't it? Farther south, on the islands of Southeast Asia, there were also unique human species. The prime example is Homo floresiensis, commonly known as the Flores man or hobbit, discovered in a cave on the island of Flores, Indonesia. The bones of the Flores man, discovered in 2003, belonged to an adult, yet their height was only about 1 meter, making them seem like hobbits and capturing the world's attention. It is believed they lived in isolation on the island of Flores from about 100,000 to 50,000 years ago. There is also evidence that they used stone tools and hunted small elephants, called stegodons, and giant rats. It has been suggested that they might be a species of human that emerged through the phenomenon of insular dwarfism, where large animals become smaller in a closed island environment. They survived until around the time Homo sapiens reached Southeast Asia, but they eventually vanished. Although there is no direct evidence of contact, it's possible that encounters with our ancestors or environmental changes played a role in their extinction. Beyond these, other, unique contemporary species existed in human history. There was Homo luzonensis, discovered on the island of Luzon in the Philippines, who existed until around 70,000 years ago. In the Altai region of Siberia, the bones of a young girl who was a hybrid of a Neanderthal and a Denisovan were found in the Denisova cave. And then there is Homo naledi, discovered in a cave system in southern Africa. Homo naledi was a small-bodied human species that lived in South Africa about 300,000 years ago. They are a peculiar presence because they survived into an era overlapping with modern humans, while having primitive features such as a brain size comparable to that of a chimpanzee, around 500 cc. Furthermore, in recent years, reports suggesting that Homo naledi may have engaged in surprisingly advanced behaviors have become a major topic of discussion. It is claimed that Homo naledi carried their dead deep into caves to bury them and left behind symbol-like engravings on the walls. If this is true, it would mean that practices like funerals and symbolic thought, previously believed to be exclusive to large-brained humans like Homo sapiens and Neanderthals, were also performed by a hominin with a much smaller brain. The evidence is still undergoing academic verification. But this discovery could offer a new perspective on the origins of intelligent behavior in humans. As we have seen in this chapter, Earth was once a place where various human species coexisted in the same era. It was a scene rich in diversity, much like the world of the Lord of the Rings, where humans, dwarves, and hobbits mingle. Each species followed its own evolutionary path, adapted to its environment, sometimes intermingled, and then, ultimately, disappeared. So, why did only our ancestors, Homo sapiens, survive? In the next chapter, we will explore how we, the sole survivors, spread across the world and what made us different from other human species. The dispersal of us, Homo sapiens, the only ones who survived about 300,000 years ago. The spread of the sole survivors, us, Homo sapiens, a long time ago, on the vast lands of Africa, our direct ancestors, the archaic Homo sapiens, were born in 2017. Fossils of Homo sapiens, dating back approximately 300,000 years, were discovered at the Jebel Irhoud site in Morocco, suggesting that the origin of humanity might be even older than the previously thought 200,000 years. We, Homo sapiens, slowly gathered our strength in our birthplace of Africa and eventually ventured out into the world. Research in archaeology and genetics has shown that a group of Homo sapiens journeyed from Eastern Africa towards the Middle East around 70,000 to 60,000 years ago. This is what is known as the out-of-Africa migration. Their descendants, who stepped into unknown territories across barren lands, then spent tens of thousands of years spreading across almost the entire globe. It is believed that there were multiple routes for the diffusion of Homo sapiens. But let's trace the major ones. One group crossed the Red Sea from Africa and reached the Middle East. In the areas of present-day Israel and the Arabian Peninsula. From here, they moved eastward, passing through South Asia and Southeast Asia, and reached the Australian continent about 50,000 years ago. Another faction moved north into Europe, and by 45,000 years ago, there is evidence of Homo sapiens, known as Cro-Magnon man, settling in various parts of Europe, and a group that traveled through the frigid lands of Siberia, crossed the Bering Land Bridge, which was a continuous landmass at the time, and set foot on the new continent of America. The timing of their arrival in the Americas is debated, but recent studies, such as the discovery of fossilized footprints in New Mexico, dating back about 23,000 years, suggest that humans may have spread to the Americas much earlier than previously imagined. In this way, Homo sapiens spread throughout the world in a geologically short period of time. Their adaptability and capacity for dispersal overwhelmed other human species, and it is believed that by about 40,000 years ago, almost all other human species had disappeared. we alone survived as the last humans, as Homo sapiens, spread. A wide variety of cultural adaptations began to emerge in different regions. The humans who left Africa survived by adapting to their respective environments and developing their own unique innovations. For example, at Paleolithic sites in Europe, dating from about 40,000 to 30,000 years ago, skillfully crafted stone and bone tools, as well as implements made from animal bones and antlers, have been discovered in Asia. On the other hand, it's possible that organic materials like bamboo and wood were also used for tools, suggesting cultural differences existed. Even though such materials don't preserve well in the archaeological record, adaptation to the environment was also diverse. The groups that advanced into the harsh, cold climates of northern Europe developed techniques for sewing heavy hides into clothing and for heating. Meanwhile, the groups that remained near the equator would have excelled at a hunting and gathering lifestyle in the rainforests. It was through this process that humanity began to cultivate a rich diversity of cultures and languages. The fact that there are over 6,000 languages and countless cultures in the world today can be seen as a result of each group undergoing its own unique evolution during this journey of dispersal. Along the trail of the expanding Homo sapiens, traces of what could be called a spiritual culture, a sense of spirituality, to begin to appear. Evidence of artistic expression and symbolic behavior is found in various locations. For instance, in the Chauvet cave in France, there are beautiful cave paintings dating back about 30,000 to 40,000 years. In the El Castillo cave in Spain, red hand stencils were found, created by spraying pigment over a hand placed on the wall, and their age has been measured at an incredible 64,000 years or more, dating back to the time of the Neanderthals in Indonesia, on the island of Sulawesi. A mural depicting a hunting scene that is over 40,000 years old was discovered, and it is considered one of the world's oldest figurative paintings by anatomically modern humans. These murals suggest that ancient peoples recorded the world around them in the form of pictures, and that these images were subjects of prayer and storytelling. Furthermore, traces of artistic activities like music and sculpture also emerge. From the Hohlfels cave in Germany came the Lion Man, a 40,000-year-old carving of a creature that is part human, part lion, and from near the Geissen-Klosterle cave, also in Germany, a bone flute was discovered, apparently made from the bone of a swan and dating back about 40,000 years. These artifacts tell us that our ancestors were exercising their imagination and creativity, envisioning things that do not exist in reality, like the lion human figure, and engaging in abstract expression like music. Moreover, humans began to show their feelings for the dead through their actions. In the Kafse and Skul caves in Israel, dating back about 100,000 years, skeletons of Homo sapiens were found in what appear to be deliberate burials, sprinkled with red ochre. This indicates the possibility that special treatment was given to the bodies and that some kind of ritual was performed. The act of burying deceased companions, instead of simply abandoning them, suggests a reverence for the dead and a budding belief in an afterlife. Zuch behaviors, seen in humans from 100,000 years ago, including Neanderthals, may be a sign that they were beginning to grapple with the questions of who they were and what death meant. Let's expand on this with a more narrative image. Picture yourself in Europe 40,000 years ago, where Cro-Magnons, the early Homo sapiens, lived. under the dim light of the Ice Age. A group, clad in animal hides, moves across the tundra. In their hands are sharply pointed stone spears. They are tracking mammoths and reindeer, trying to bring food back to the camp where their families wait. As night falls, the party returns to a limestone cave. On the walls of the cave, figures of animals are depicted in black and red pigments: horses, bison, and the day's prey. Adair emerge. The flames of the bonfire illuminate the murals, and their shadows flicker as if they are coming to life. The children's eyes grow wide as an elder tells stories of the hunt and the creation of the world. Later that night, one of their companions passes away. The group quietly carries him to the back of the cave, adorns him with flowers and seashells, and gently covers him with earth, with tears in their eyes. They look up at the sky and speak to the countless stars. We will meet again on the great hunt. The Cro-Magnons, just like us, loved, prayed, and told stories. Don't you feel that although there is a vast technological gap between us living in the modern era and the people of tens of thousands of years ago, the fundamental emotions that stir in our hearts have continued uninterrupted? Why were we the only ones to build a civilization on this earth? Why were we the only ones to build a civilization? Despite the existence of various human species, it was ultimately Homo sapiens, and only Homo sapiens, who built a civilized society. Neanderthals and Homo erectus also used stone tools, controlled fire, and in some cases likely cooperated with each other. However, they disappeared without developing agriculture or cities. So why were we Homo sapiens the only ones able to achieve a high level of civilization? Let's delve into that secret. The keys are cognitive ability, a leap in intelligence and cooperative behavior or sociality. Some researchers believe that about 70,000 years ago, a dramatic change, which could be called a cognitive revolution, occurred in the ancestors of Homo sapiens. Although no concrete brain fossils remain, it was around this time that the variety of stone tools dramatically increased, and symbolic culture, such as cave paintings and ornaments, began to appear. This is likely deeply related to the development of language abilities. By mastering complex grammar and words, Homo sapiens became able to efficiently share information with their peers and convey abstract concepts. While other animals can communicate to some extent, no means of communication can convey information as precisely and diversely as human language. For example, it was probably only Homo sapiens who could share a sophisticated plan through words like, "Let's ambush a mammoth on the other side of that hill tomorrow evening." To do that, let's all divide the work and make arrowheads. Abstract thought and information transmission through language were the greatest weapons bestowed upon humankind. This enabled Homo sapiens to cooperate closely in large numbers. Groups of several dozen to 100 people became able to work together with a common sense of purpose. Other human species likely formed small hunting groups, but they couldn't match Homo sapiens in terms of scale or flexibility. Our ancestors built large-scale cooperative systems through the power of storytelling. Israeli historian Yuval Noah Harari, in his book *Sapiens: A Brief History of Humankind*, states that the reason Homo sapiens were able to drive out rivals like the Neanderthals was their ability to believe in fictions. Things like corporations, nations, and money are in themselves imaginary concepts, without a physical reality. Fictions. However, humans can believe in them as if they were real and cooperate with each other. In religion, the story that we are all children of the same God unites strangers. With money, the shared trust that this piece of paper or these digital numbers have value, makes economic activity possible. A nation is also just a story that exists in people's minds. But because of that story, millions of people cooperate and sometimes even risk their lives. Harari collectively calls these shared fictions and points out that it was thanks to this ability to believe in fictions that only Homo sapiens could flexibly cooperate with a large number of strangers. Indeed, the power to believe in stories may have been humanity's greatest weapon. From this perspective, the reason why Homo sapiens conquered the world becomes clear. In other words, by acquiring the intelligence to share not only facts, but also fictional stories, we were able to build unprecedented large-scale cooperative systems. Geneticists have made similar points. For example, by acquiring a sophisticated symbolic language, Homo sapiens' ability to transmit and accumulate knowledge among themselves improved dramatically. As a result, their ability to adapt to the environment increased, allowing them to endure harsh climate changes and advance into new lands. In fact, thanks to knowledge sharing and a system of labor division enabled by language, humans devised survival strategies and thrived in both the icy landscapes of Europe and the scorching tropical rainforests. While other human species were gradually cornered by climate change and other factors, Homo sapiens survived by pooling their wisdom and labor as a group and continuously innovating. Let's give a more specific example. Neanderthals probably had vocal organs similar to modern humans and are thought to have been able to speak a certain level of language. It has been discovered that they also possess genes related to language, such as the FOXP2 gene. However, the tool culture of Neanderthals showed little change for hundreds of thousands of years. In contrast, Homo sapiens improved the shape of their stone tools in a short period and created a wide variety of implements. This is evidence that a cycle of superior imitation and innovation was at work. It's likely that Homo sapiens' children, through play, imitated adults, discovered new ways of using things, and the adults then adopted them, allowing knowledge to accumulate across generations. This would be difficult without education mediated by language. Furthermore, while Neanderthals are estimated to have lived in small-scale tribal societies of at most a few dozen individuals, Homo sapiens may have created loose community networks of several hundred to several thousand people through trade and marriage. Common myths and rituals were the glue that strengthened these networks. Looking back, the reasons why only Homo sapiens were able to build a civilization are not singular, but complex. However, there is no doubt that intelligence, cognitive ability, language, and the social cooperation that utilized them were major driving forces. It's not that other human species had low intelligence by any means, but our ancestors maximized a slight cognitive advantage, bringing about a change that could be called an information revolution. Awaiting on the other side of that revolution was the invention of agriculture and animal husbandry, the beginning of settled life, the formation of cities and states, and the explosive development of technological civilization. A memory etched in our DNA, modern science. Memories etched in DNA. Modern science unravels our origins. Now, as we've journeyed through the story of human evolution, there's a modern-day master key that brings this narrative into even sharper focus: deoxyribonucleic acid, or DNA. Inside the cells of every one of us lies a vast archive of genetic information passed down from our ancestors. In recent years, scientists have been working to decode the journeys of ancient humans by analyzing this very DNA. And remarkably, it's no exaggeration to say that discovery after discovery is revealing that the memories of humanity are etched into our DNA. First, let's introduce a hypothesis with a rather unique name: Mitochondrial Eve and Y-Chromosomal Adam. Mitochondrial Eve refers to the common female ancestor to whom all living humans can trace their maternal lineage. Meanwhile, Y-chromosomal Adam is the common male ancestor for all of humanity's paternal line. Hearing these names, you might imagine the very first man and woman. But that's not actually the case. Mitochondrial DNA is passed down from mother to child. And mitochondrial DNA from the father is not typically inherited. The Y chromosome is special genetic information passed from father to son by comparing the variations in mitochondrial DNA and Y chromosomes of modern people from all over the world. Scientists have estimated the point at which these respective lineages trace back to a single family tree. The results showed that all of the mitochondrial DNA of modern humans can be traced back to a single woman in Africa, approximately 180,000 years ago. This is mitochondrial Eve. Similarly, it's understood that the Y chromosome lineage traces back to a single man who lived around 210,000 years ago, perhaps somewhere between 200,000 and 300,000 years ago. We call him Y-chromosomal Adam. What's crucial to understand is that this absolutely does not mean that mitochondrial Eve or Y-chromosomal Adam were the only woman or man on Earth at that time. For example, when mitochondrial Eve was alive 180,000 years ago, there were surely many other women. However, she is simply the one from whom the mitochondrial lineage that all living people share today began. The mitochondrial lineages of other women simply died out along the way and did not survive to the present day. Likewise, Y-chromosomal Adam was not some special first human. This phenomenon merely points to the fact that, within a great deal of genetic diversity, his chromosome lineage happened to be the only one shared by all modern humans. In other words, both Eve and Adam were just single individuals within a large human population at the time. And our DNA is a mosaic, blended with the genetic information of many people who lived back then. Nevertheless, this hypothesis eloquently tells the story that we are all, ultimately, one family, no matter how diverse modern people may seem. If you go back far enough, we all trace back to the same woman and the same man. This strongly suggests that modern humans began from a single origin. DNA analysis is also revealing the routes Homo sapiens took as they spread across the globe. When we look at the geographic distribution of genetic diversity, we see that Africa has the most, and that diversity tends to decrease the farther away you get. This suggests a bottleneck effect, where groups that left Africa only carried a subset of the original genetic diversity with them. Furthermore, by comparing the DNA of people from different regions, we can estimate when their common ancestors lived, and the results align almost perfectly with archaeological evidence. For instance, the genes of all non-African peoples show a common ancestral bottleneck dating back to about 60 to 70,000 years ago, which corresponds to the time of the migration out of Africa. We can even estimate the divergence dates for various groups like Europeans, Asians, and Native Americans, which generally fall within the range of 40,000 to 20,000 years ago. Based on this genomic research, it has even become possible to draw the migration routes of ancient peoples on a map. Projects like the National Geographic Society's Genographic Project use Y chromosome and mitochondrial DNA, haplogroups, lineage groups, to show the paths of human expansion around the world after leaving Africa. For example, East Asians and Native Americans are very similar in terms of their Y chromosome types, showing that they share a common ancestor who crossed into the New World via Siberia. The DNA dwelling in our cells today is like a time capsule, delivering the records of our ancestors' journeys to the modern era, and modern science is now reaching beyond just modern DNA to ancient DNA. DNA extracted from the bones of ancient people, the decoding of Neanderthal DNA, which I mentioned earlier, is a perfect example of this. Research is rapidly advancing to extract DNA from the miraculously preserved bones and teeth of ancient humans found in Ice Age caves or permafrost, and read their genomes directly through ancient DNA analysis. We can meet past humans as if we've stepped into a time machine. The discovery of the Denisovans was also decided by DNA extracted from just a tiny finger bone. The pioneer in this field, Dr. Sahelanthropus, was even awarded the Nobel Prize for his work. Ancient DNA is overturning one conventional theory after another about human history. For instance, the roots of Europeans were once thought to be simple, direct descendants of Cro-Magnons, the early Homo sapiens. However, genome analysis has revealed that modern Europeans were actually formed by the triple mixture of different groups during the Paleolithic, Neolithic, and Bronze Ages. Similarly, recent studies suggest that the roots of the Japanese people involve not just the two lineages of the Jomon and Yayoi people, but also the admixture of a third lineage originating from ancient Northeast Asia. Even more surprisingly, attempts are beginning to recreate the characteristics of ancient humans using modern technology. This is where a cutting-edge genome editing technology called CRISPR comes in. Using CRISPR technology, it's possible to alter an organism's genes at a targeted location. Applying this technology, experiments are being conducted to incorporate parts of Neanderthal genes into modern human cells to cultivate miniature brains. A U.S. research team focused on genes related to neurotransmission. Among the genomic differences between Neanderthals and modern humans, such as a gene called Nova-Oni, and introduced the Neanderthal version into human stem cells using CRISPR. They then observed how the brain organoids, mini-brains created through bioculturing, developed. The results showed that the organoids with the Neanderthal-type gene exhibited slight differences in shape and developmental patterns, and researchers are now trying to understand how these differences might have affected cognitive function. It's a bold line of research, almost like resurrecting an ancient brain that is closing in on the mysteries of human brain evolution. Other studies are also being considered, such as creating mice with specific genes from extinct hominins introduced into their genomes to examine their function while these are still in their nascent stages. In the future, it may become possible to recreate the characteristics of Neanderthals and other ancient humans, not just their brains, but also traits related to muscles or immunity in a modern laboratory, and investigate the differences. In this way, modern science is using the key of DNA to reconstruct the story of human origins, from the point of divergence from chimpanzees 7 million years ago, to the interactions with diverse human species hundreds of thousands of years ago, and the great journeys of tens of thousands of years ago. DNA speaks eloquently. Genetics is at the forefront of unraveling the drama of how many encounters and farewells, how much trial and error occurred for us to be here now. You could truly call it the work of deciphering the memories etched in DNA. And as we unravel those memories, we are reminded of the simple, moving truth that all of humanity is connected as one. What does it mean to be human origins, as depicted by philosophy and religion? While science sheds light on the origins of humankind, philosophy and religion have, for thousands of years, portrayed from their own unique perspectives what it means to be human and where we came from. In this chapter, we will explore diverse viewpoints on the origins of humanity by touching upon myths and the words of philosophers. First, let's turn our attention to the various myths around the world. In many cultures, both Eastern and Western, stories about the creation of humankind have been passed down through generations. Perhaps the most famous is the book of Genesis in the Old Testament. Genesis records that God, Yahweh, formed the first man, Adam, from dust and created his wife, Eve, from one of his ribs. The episode of the forbidden fruit in the Garden of Eden marks the origin of humanity's acquisition of wisdom, and at the same time, it is a story of how we came to bear sin. This myth is common to Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, and it conveys the message that human beings are special creations made by God. Meanwhile, we in Japan also have our own unique creation myth. This is the story of the Tensen Korin, or the descent of the heavenly grandchild. As told in the Kojiki and Nihon Shoki, in Japanese mythology, the two deities, Izanagi and Izanami, give birth to the land and many gods. The sun goddess, Amaterasu, who stands at their apex, bestows the three sacred treasures upon her grandson, Ninigi no Mikoto, and commands him to rule the terrestrial world, the central land of reed plains. The core of the myth is that Ninigi descended from the high plane of heaven to the peak of Takachiho in Hyuga, and eventually, his great-grandson became the first emperor. In this story, the origins of humans, particularly the imperial family, are depicted as being connected to the gods. While there is no explicit description of the creation of humankind in Japanese mythology, the Tensen Korin myth can be said to mythologically explain the beginning of human society. Other cultures also have unique origin myths. In ancient Mesopotamian mythology, it is said that the gods created humans from clay to serve them. In Greek mythology, Prometheus is said to have formed humans from mud, and the goddess Athena breathed life into them. In Chinese mythology, there is a tradition that the goddess Nuwa created humankind by kneading yellow earth. In Polynesian mythology, it is said that the first humans were born from a taro root. What's interesting is that in many of these myths, earth or clay is used as the material for creating humanity. Perhaps people all over the world positioned themselves as beings born from the earth. All these myths are rich in allegory and strongly reflect the values and worldviews of their respective cultures. Scientific validity aside, myths were humanity's oldest answers to the questions of who we are and why we exist. So, what have philosophers had to say about human beings? The question, what is a human, has been one of the fundamental themes of philosophy. The ancient Greek philosopher Aristotle defined a human as a rational animal zoon logon ekon, that is, an animal possessing reason logos. He also stated that humans are by nature animals that live in political communities, saying that man is by nature a political animal. In other words, it is a view of humans as beings that form societies through language and reason. This definition has been passed down to the present day, and the idea that human equals rational animal is a classic proposition. However, philosophers' views on humanity are not uniform. For example, The 17th century French philosopher Descartes put forth the famous proposition, "I think, therefore I am," and held that thinking consciousness is the essence of being human. On the other hand, the 18th century French philosopher Rousseau argued that humans are inherently good, but that inequality and vice arose from society. And he criticized civilized society. In contrast, his contemporary, the English philosopher Thomas Hobbes, stated that the life of man in a state of nature is solitary, poor, nasty, brutish, and short, a war of all against all. He argued that humans are fundamentally selfish and that governance by social contract is necessary. Thus, debates over whether human nature is good or evil and how human nature changes with society have been major themes in philosophy. Furthermore, the German philosopher Kant spoke of human dignity, stating that a human being should be treated as an end in itself, while the 20th century existentialist Sartre emphasized freedom and responsibility, stating that existence precedes essence, meaning humans create their own nature. Although these ideas point in different directions, they are all products of serious contemplation on what it means to be human. Philosophy and religion have also explored the spirituality and soul that humans possess. In many religions, it is believed that humans have an immortal soul separate from the physical body. For example, in Christianity, humans are made in the image of God, and though the body may perish, the soul returns to God. In Buddhism, although there is no clear creator God, all living beings, including humans, are seen as repeating the cycle of reincarnation, and enlightenment can liberate one from this chain of suffering. In Hinduism as well, it is taught that the god Brahma created humankind, and that the essence of a human, Atman, is one with the essence of the universe. Brahman, a characteristic feature of all these views, is that humans are not considered mere material objects, but are thought to derive from some sublime principle. The clash between such religious worldviews and the scientific worldview has also been conspicuous throughout history. When Darwin published his theory of evolution On the Origin of Species in the 19th century, European society, which had until then believed in the creation story of the Bible, was greatly shaken. Many people rejected it, unable to accept the blasphemy that humans evolved from apes. In the famous Scopes trial in the United States in 1925, the legality of teaching evolution in schools was contested, in the end, with the accumulation of scientific evidence. The theory of evolution became widely accepted, but the creationism versus evolution debate continues in some circles even today, particularly in parts of America and the Islamic world. There remains a deep-rooted movement to avoid teaching evolution in schools. Behind this, there seems to be a psychological resistance and a conflict with religious beliefs against accepting the cold, hard fact presented by science that humans are just one species that evolved from animals. However, in recent years, many people have reconciled scientific explanations with religious and philosophical meanings. It can be viewed that science tells us how humanity came to be, while philosophy and religion provide us with guidelines for thinking about why humanity exists and what humanity is. In other words, science speaks of mechanisms, while religion and philosophy speak of meaning. For example, even if science reveals that we are made of stardust. Some people may feel that this makes us no more special, while others may find it mystical that life could be born from stardust. It likely depends on each individual's values and how they interpret the story. Looking at it this way, one is astonished by the breadth of perspectives on the origins of humankind. Science weaves a story from bones and DNA. Religion tells it through myths and faith. And philosophers have sought answers through reason and contemplation. In every perspective, we can feel the passion with which we humans have continuously asked ourselves, who are we? Knowing the origins of humankind is not merely a search for the past. It is also an endeavor to re-examine what it means to be human. Faced with this grand theme, what kind of answers or stories do you yourselves hold? I encourage you to, just once, gaze up at the starry night sky and let your thoughts wander to your own answer. Where do we come from? And where are we going? We have journeyed far into the past to explore where humanity came from. In this final chapter, let's turn our gaze toward the future. Where are we going? To know our origins is to also contemplate our future. As the sole surviving human species, Homo sapiens, what will we become in the years to come? The recent advancements in science and technology have presented humanity with new evolutionary possibilities. Specifically, the progress in biotechnology and artificial intelligence, or AI, is said to be fundamentally altering our vision of the future. The historian Yuval Noah Harari, whom I mentioned in a previous installment, suggests in his book about the future of humankind, Homo Deus, that Homo sapiens may merge with technology and transform into Homo Deus, a god-like human. According to him, through genetic engineering, cellular technology, and integration with AI, humanity may overcome challenges that have been insurmountable, such as famine, disease, and aging. And he even points out that we might conquer death itself. This is a vision of the future where humanity actively upgrades itself from Homo sapiens, wise man, to Homo Deus, God-man. This may sound like a work of fiction, but the signs of this transformation are already beginning to emerge. For example, the genome editing technology CRISPR has made it possible to alter the genes of human embryos. In 2018, a report from China announced the birth of the world's first gene-edited babies using this technology, sparking a global ethical controversy. The twin sisters were said to have been designed to have a resistance to HIV. This news was widely discussed as the potential arrival of designer babies and sparked a debate about whether we are at the dawn of an era where humanity intentionally directs its own evolution. The evolution of artificial intelligence, or AI, has also been remarkable. The World Go champion was defeated by an AI in 2016. Now, AI can manipulate language, generate images, analyze medical research papers, and has even begun to operate as autonomous robots in factories and homes. While AI itself is not human, we have already started using smartphones and computers as extensions of our bodies. In the future, connecting our brains to computers and controlling machines with our thoughts alone will likely become a reality. In fact, Neuralink, a company founded by Elon Musk, is developing a way to implant a tiny electrode chip into the brain to link with computers. And in 2023, it received approval from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, the FDA, for its first human clinical trials, if this device becomes practical. It's no longer a dream for people with physical disabilities to be able to move robotic prosthetics with their brainwaves, or even access information from the cloud directly with their brains. These technological innovations have the potential to dramatically change what it means to be human within the next few decades to centuries. We may no longer need to wait for biological evolution, for mutation and natural selection to take their course. A self-directed evolution through technology is about to begin. One expert has even stated that the species, Homo sapiens as we know it, will likely cease to exist within the next 100 years. From a pessimistic viewpoint, this could be seen as a loss of our humanity. In fact, there is a dystopian debate about what would happen if AI becomes so advanced that it surpasses human intelligence, a concept known as the technological singularity. There is also the concern that if only the wealthy can extend their lifespans or enhance their intelligence through technology, a new form of class-based hierarchy could emerge within humanity. On the other hand, from an optimistic perspective, merging with technology opens up new possibilities for humanity, a future free from disease and aging, where everyone's basic needs are met, and where we expand our reach into the cosmos. Humanity might leave the cradle of Earth and become a multi-planetary species. The technology to achieve this is steadily advancing. Plans for the colonization of Mars and the construction of a lunar base, once the stuff of science fiction, are now becoming tangible realities. If the day comes when humanity travels to planets beyond our solar system, it's even possible that a new form of human, adapted to the cosmic environment through genetic manipulation and cybernetic augmentation, will have been born. So, what should we aim for in the future? Looking back, humanity has always pushed forward to new frontiers. Overcoming challenges with technology and wisdom, we tamed fire, survived ice ages, crossed oceans, learned to fly, and even reached for the stars. The same curiosity that drove us to seek our origins is now propelling us to challenge the unknown. In the future, we will face many challenges: climate change, food and energy shortages, pandemics, and our coexistence with AI. But looking back at human history, it seems we are also equipped with the strength to confront these challenges. It is our ability to cooperate and share stories. Tackling global issues requires collaboration that transcends borders, ethnicities, and generations. This is an extension of the ability to cooperate in large groups that humanity cultivated in ancient times. Understanding our own origins and recognizing that all of humanity is one family will provide us with the crucial insight needed to face the challenges of the future as one. Finally, let's reconsider the question we started with. Where do we come from, and where are we going? This may be an eternal question that we will continue to ask as long as we are human, no matter how much science advances. Even if we reach the very edge of the universe, we will continue to search for the reason for our existence. But that is precisely why we can say this. Our origin is not just a story of the past. It is a clue to creating the future. By knowing our past, by understanding who we are, we can find the path to a better future. The story of Homo sapiens is not over. The quest to find the answers to where we came from and where we are going will continue. The future of humanity will be shaped by none other than each and every one of us living in the present. Thank you for watching until the very end. If you found this video interesting, please be sure to subscribe to the channel and give it a thumbs up. Also, Our channel, Cosmic Lab, has been able to grow steadily thanks to the support of all of you watching. We are truly grateful for your continued support. We have set a challenging goal of reaching 100,000 subscribers by the end of 2025, and we are working our hardest every day to produce videos. If you haven't subscribed yet, we would be delighted if you would subscribe and continue to support us. We'll see you in the next video.